Welcome, everyone, to the New York Comic Con and MCM Metaverse Kickoff Show. I'm Grace Randolph.
And I am Jackie Izawa. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, chat. How are y'all doing today?
Yeah, it's Saturday. It's the weekend.
Oh, we made it.
Yeah, people have time to watch this con all day.
Mm-hmm. Now I actually can dedicate the entire day to watching everything, even, the panels we chose that we'll talk about later. But I'm going to be sitting my butt down in this office and watching all day long. There's got some good stuff coming up. So I'm excited.
You can not only watch the panels that are going on today, but also you can go double back and check out any of the panels you might have missed the last 2 days because they stay up here. You at a regular Comic-Con, that's one of the benefits of virtual Comic-Con. You can double back and go back in time and head up to all the big rooms.
Yep. And including watching our kickoff shows for the last 2 days as well. They are also VODs.
Yeah, we talked to Abu Bakar Salim from Raised by Wolves, Alex Winter from Bill and Ted Face Music yesterday. And today, Jackie, we have someone that you and I, we both really love this show, X-Men the Animated Series.
Yes! Fangirling so hard, keeping it inside. But really excited.
Yeah, it was just, it was such a phenomenal show. And I think it's one of the few comic book shows to adapt comic book storylines almost, like so faithfully. Usually every other place wants to put their stamp on it, but they brought these amazing comic book stories to life. Like I think a number of people saw those stories on the animated series first. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I looking back on it, I'm still in love with it. And I took it upon myself to watch a few more episodes and like just bask in the nostalgia and remember my childhood and not doing my homework and just like watching it as many times as I possibly could. Mom wasn't too happy with me, but it was such a good show. And I was very young. I think I was 8 or 9 when the show launched originally.
Yeah, it was such amazing stories like X-Men. They did an amazing X-Men the Phoenix saga. And they kept those Hellfire Club costumes, even though it was a kids animated show. We actually have the showrunner and the writer on the show. Let's bring them in. Julia and Eric Lewald.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, Grace.
Hello. So nice to meet you both and see you. Happy Saturday.
Yes.
And very early good morning to the both of you.
Thank you.
From California, right?
Yeah.
Yes. In the dark.
And you said this is your first New York Comic Con.
Yeah, ever.
It is. We always do the West Coast ones and sometimes get a bit across the country. And we're hoping this year would be the magic year for NYCC, but next year, for sure.
Fingers crossed.
You're here in particular at this convention to promote your new book, The Art and Making of X-Men, the Animated Series, which is available this week. There it is. You can purchase it starting Tuesday, or you can even advance order it right now.
Right.
Oh, look at that back cover. I can see that.
The art was done for the book specifically from Larry Houston and Rick Hoberg, two of the main artists on the show, who came to say, you know what, we want to help. We want to make this happen. So,
and a third main artist from the show, the three of the big ones that actually designed this show that we all love, did a full page original piece for the book as well. Will Mindia.
Can you flip through the two books like you did before? Like, see, that's a lot of pictures. You had a book that came out before. Yeah,
3 years ago, we did a really dense, full history of the show with interviews with all of the staff, the cast, the writers, the artists, the executives, everybody, the voice talent, everybody that made the show happen. But as you can see, it's dense text and a lot of history, a lot of back stories from behind the scenes, and very little just black and white imagery. It's because we weren't working with Marvel and Disney then. This is just a personal thing. So this is like 7 times as much text as the new one, but the new one is thousands of beautiful pictures.
All the art.
So 4.5 pounds of X-Men trivia and fan love.
So I
like X-Men
as the perfect companion pieces, but depending on what your tastes are, we're so excited about this one, and again coming out the 13th.
Christmas is coming up.
Christmas is coming up.
It's a little big for a stocking, but if you really want to, I think you can shove it in there.
They're both available on Amazon.
Yes.
But this one is selling hot. I think Marvel has a little bit larger reach than our first publisher did.
Well, I have to say, for a lot of people, even more so than the comics, your show is what got them into the X-Men. So I have to ask, who are your favorite X-Men?
Was first?
Got to be. I was a writer on the show, and I think among the writers, the favorite, gotta say Beast. Why? Because he's the poet, he's the romantic, and he's the smartest one in the room. So if writing for Beast,
I saw some love for him in the comments already there.
If writing for Beast was one of those trying to, hey, I'm the writer, I'm being Beast, I can outquote anybody, anything. But Beast, I adored him and still do.
On my side, I had most 90% people will say Wolverine because he's so colorful and so much the center of the team. But for me, since I was I supervised the writing of the show, I had 20 different writers over 5 years that I had to try to herd like cats into writing something that seemed seamless yet varied. And they're all very different people. And so I felt very much like Xavier, who had this dysfunctional family to look after and be the father to. And so I empathize with him a great deal, and I really enjoyed writing him.
Mine was Rogue. How about you, Jackie?
Gambit. Gambit, yeah, because I'm from Vegas, and so the use of the cards was kind of, I related to that. Actually, when my brother and I were kids, we used to just throw cards at each other. And that would be our version of tag.
Fantastic.
Hysterical. Oh, wow.
So Gambit.
Wow.
Yeah.
But Chelsea wants a shout out. Could you give Chelsea a shout out?
Well, Chelsea, we're giving you a shout out on this early Saturday. Go, Chelsea!
Hey, Chelsea.
Aw, very sweet. So along the same lines of, we were kind of getting into it already. You've worked with a lot of different IP over your careers. What's been like the most rewarding story to create or write for both of you?
Jumping, my first professional job as a writer for television was for the Disney Afternoon, working on their shows. I got my start on Chippendale's Rescue Rangers, and got to work on everything there in that afternoon, including Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, and those shows. But Chippendale's Rescue Rangers is in my heart because of my first job. But I also got to write for Winnie the Pooh, and I got to say that was just a magical show. A different set of muscles, but a magical show. We've been at this long enough. We each have worked on over 40 different shows. So there's a lot to pick from. Obviously, I have to start with X-Men because it was all the elements came together. It was the best job I ever had. And within X-Men, One Man's Worth was my favorite story. I had to come up with or find the 76 episodes, and there were 59 stories we told within those 76. And that was the hardest part for me. Once we decided on a story, everybody in the group, Marvel, Fox, everybody, we decided on a story, then the rest was just kind of craft. And that was fairly much easier. But finding something that you knew was going to make a really tight story is incredibly hard. It could take you a week and you could not come up empty. So when I came up with One Man's Worth, it just hit me. Oh, this is a perfect X-Men story. It's a two-parter where you discover what happens if Xavier never existed, if someone went back in time and killed him when he was young. And that the basis of that is like, what would the world be like with the X-Men? And it made us reflect on what we think about them and why we care about them. And it just, for whatever reason, after 5 years of trying, that popped into my head one morning, and it was like, oh, this is satisfying to me as a storyteller. That one killed me. The other. And I just want behind the scenes tidbit here. When you pitched that to Bob Harris at Marvel in New York at the time,
they ended up loving it, and a year later they based
Age of Apocalypse on One Man's Worth.
You are responsible for Age of Apocalypse?
the story that they used to make that huge, wonderful thing.
You're the spark?
Eric's the spark. I will tell you that right here. Eric was the spark.
And
I'm sure he's the spark every day, but in this case, he is the spark as well. That's one of my favorite stories. I think it is the best X-Men story of all time.
So it's fun to see how things, seeds got blown all over and populated.
Because we took so many cool elements from the books. That was our job, from the first 30 years of the books. It was gratifying that they ended up taking something special from us.
Well, I have to say, what do you, playing devil's advocate, what do you say to someone who says, I've seen every episode of the X-Men animated series, I read all the comics, I've seen all the movies. What do you hope that person would get out of your book?
Oh, boy, howdy.
An ecstatic experience?
Yes. Not akin to religious experience, but hey, the stuff in here has not been seen in 30 years. And there's character model designs that you didn't realize actually were drawn and then not use all these different items, that all the elements that come together. It's a great flip through. You can just flip through it and go, oh my God, that was a cameo in this episode. Or you can flip through it and admire the background work, because all the background paintings in there, just the amount of effort that it went into hand drawing every single element of the show is represented here.
Yeah, when you watch the show, you don't think, it's 22 minutes and I'm on to the next one. That was 9 months of work for a few hundred people.
Yeah.
It was just, we didn't appreciate, because we were just writing the scripts, the incredible amount of work that it goes into it.
Just turn to a page and you see all these different hand
drawings. And so we talked to the production coordinators and the head of the art studio here, Stephanie Graziano, to understand. We got to get the script ready. That's 6 weeks. We got to get the storyboard. That's 900 or 1,000 images to direct the show. That goes overseas with the mouth movements, with the voice recordings, with all the color palettes. And these people overseas are spending 4 or 5 months, and every 12th of a second or so, there'll be 4 or 5 or 6 hand-painted, beautiful bits of art, and they'll take a picture, and then for the next 12th of a second, they'll have to move 4 or 5 of them. Wolverine moves, Jubilee moves, somebody's mouth moves, the background shifts, and what that means is 6 or 7 new paintings for every, and it adds up to maybe 20,000 paintings an episode that they had to do just to make it look normal for you. Mm-hmm. Nowadays it's computerized, and you say, okay, he starts here and he gets over there, and say, computer, fill in the middle. And you hit the button and you're done. Back then, everything needed to be hand drawn, and it was. We also there's some fun stuff in there that were alternatives, like the beautiful opening sequence of the show. That was Larry Houston and Will Mineo, who were really the heart and soul of the art of the show. And Larry did a version, and it wasn't quite as beautiful, but it wasn't quite right. And they took it to Margaret Lesh, who was the head of Fox, and they said, it has too many different characters in it. We need to focus on our characters, do a revision. They did a revision, and that was it. These guys are so good. It took like 1 weekend to do that. The
entire thing.
The entire opening, 5-second opening.
We have 2 questions.
We've got the storyboard.
We want to make sure we get to the 2 questions we have left for you.
Yeah, we got the storyboard of the original one.
Oh, that's so amazing.
And the changed one. Yep. And there are a number of things like that we've got one that didn't get on the air and instead that did. Okay, on the next question.
We could talk about this all day, honestly. Okay, lightning round. Okay, so can you tell us a bit about the thought process when it comes to creating original ideas and concepts for an IP that already has like a really strong existing audience?
You mean like X-Men?
Yes.
That'll do it.
Well,
yeah.
Again, the property itself coming into it, there was already 30 years of, with a very distinctive sort of, it shifted. It had begun as, just the 4 kids at Xavier School. And by the time the show was being thought of, it was the early 90s. And at that point, it was a more international cast.
Older.
I think the big challenge was finding what was the humanity in each character, and how is that served also by their by their mutation, B, whatever the kinds of powers that presented for them, but also the genuine struggle to fit into a society where there are people who don't want you there at all. Mm-hmm. And so always approaching it first as what's the human story in telling the X-Men episode, and then all the flashy, colorful stuff comes from that.
And also focusing on, you want to be true to your source material, and Hollywood is terrible about that a lot of the time. They just throw it out and do whatever they want. So we definitely wanted to be true to this thing that we knew there were fans of. But the first thing we said, and the co-writer that did a lot of work with me, Mark Eden, said it best, it's easy to just not change anything. What you got to do is focus on what makes a good TV story, and that's your first job. And then you pick the elements and the spirit and the characters from your source material. As I say, if you're making an opera out of a novel, you wouldn't leave every word of the novel in the opera, because you got people walking around singing and flying through. It's a different craft, and so you have to respect the craft you're working in. And there's a few successful comic book writers that learn, writing for TV animation is very different from writing for comic books. We might not be able to write a decent comic book. I wouldn't bet money on it. But we had to take this one kind of writing and turn it into TV writing. And that was job one. And that's, I think, the way you respect an IP is respect its spirit and its characters, and then adjust it to fit the medium you're working in. And that's the crucial one.
Well, last question I have to ask. This is the only way your publicist would let me. How do you feel about the show being so popular on Disney Plus?
It is a thrill to see it back on the air, because for quite a while there, it was kind of patchy. Like some folks were getting it on one service over here, or someone had some of the good old DVDs, which, by the way, wouldn't you just love a Blu-ray re-release? Just
full set.
Well, that would be magic.
Twitter.
Not to Twitter.
Yes, we've got extras for you. We promise.
But the fact that when it debuted on Disney not that long ago, the response that we've received has just been astonishing. It's just so positive. So the fact that new people get to find the show, and the fact that people who love the show get to enjoy it all over again. That's magic.
We get lots and lots of 40-ish folks coming up to us at cons by the dozens, bringing their 8 and 9-year-olds and saying, this is the most amazing thing. It's on Disney Plus now, and I can watch all 76 episodes with my son or my daughter and let them experience what I experienced when I first saw it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for stopping by. And you have a full panel that's up right now on the New York Comic Con YouTube channel if people want to hear even more about your experiences and the book.
Shameless plug department. Please follow us.
Amazing.
There we are. We're Twitter. We're Instagram. We're there. It's the two of us. So come say hi.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your morning.
Thank you.
You too, Jackie. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That was amazing.
That's really me great. The entire time.
I know. That book was pretty nice.
Yeah.
It was very nice. I think I have to add a little extra to my letter to Santa.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Or I'll just buy it for myself. I'm not waiting for you, Santa. I can use the internet myself. So, Jackie, we both have picked 3 panels. So we're gonna go quickly. We have the convention starts in 5 minutes. So we're gonna talk about the 3 panels that you and I are the most excited about. So let's just do our 3 in a row. So you go first with the 3 that you are excited about.
I lost my mind when I saw Dungeons and Dragons and cooking.
That's on mine too.
Really? Okay, we're still like 1 for 3 at least every single day so far. But I love cooking. And
especially now.
I'm starting to understand D&D. I still haven't played it myself, but I have a ton of friends who are DMing and playing their own campaigns. And I was like, yes, both of these. Let's go. So that's happening at 12:25 Eastern time. My next one is at 1:45. Is that yours too? Oh my God,
Jackie. I have this one as well.
We're just twinning all day. We should have just worn the same shirt as well.
We should, yeah.
But Smallville. Smallville cast, they're going to be talking about 20 years of fandom. So if you are a fan of Smallville, this is the panel that you want to watch. They got all the big names
there. They're all reunited. Tom Welling, Erica Durance, Michael Rosenbaum. They're all going to be there talking about, it's been 20 years since Smallville.
Yeah, but he's such a great Lex Luthor. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Right?
My last one, Grace.
All right,
We
let's see.
cannot three for three. 455.
No, we differ.
Okay. Okay.
All right,
So,
okay.
just to reiterate, I love cheesy movies. So it's a one-on-one with Paul W.S. Anderson. So the Mortal Kombat, Resident Evil, and there's a new look at the upcoming Monster Hunter.
That's a fabulous panel.
I know. I'm so excited to watch that one.
3 for 3 if I'd seen it. I missed it on the schedule. That's fantastic.
Yeah. What's your
All right.
last one?
My third one is at 2:40 p.m. They're having the Cosplay Central's virtual championship of cosplay. And that's the virtual competition. And the judges are it's like Comic-Con Project Runway. And the judges are going to go through all the submissions, which are amazing. And they're going to pick the winners. So you're going to see the best cosplay at the convention this year.
That was really close to being on my list too.
Oh, see, we're so similar.
Just saying.
That's
Okay. Well,
fantastic.
yeah, I think we're pretty much out of time right now.
Yeah.
So just wanted to remind everybody who's watching this VOD, who's in chat right now, don't forget to subscribe to New York Comic Con. And for the full schedule, visit findthemetaverse.com.
And also, right now, don't go anywhere because at this very window, it's going to switch over to the first panel of the day where you get to learn Japanese. And lesson number 1 is how to get around Tokyo. I would love to go to Tokyo.
Yes, same. All the food. Again,
Right?
Dungeons and Dragons and cooking.
Right?
All the food.
All right, bye, everybody.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Yes, be sure to stop by. Ed Boon will be here for Mortal Kombat. We have a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do.